Hello and welcome to Hondata's second educational seminar on the Civic TypeR. We've got a lot of exciting updates to bring you today with regards to some of the tech and tuning and information that we've got. The Flashpro for the Civic TypeR has been on sale for a month now and we've had an incredible reaction. We've had so many enthusiastic customers, and I'd like to cover off some of what the people have said, but some of the research and development that we've been continuing to bring to you to make your Civics more fun and faster. Okay, what is our company about? What is Hondata about? And the main reason for this broadcast today is education. We want to teach you. We want to teach you so that you know what works well for you and what does not. So what you can learn from these seminars and what you can learn from the people who have been doing the development and the tuning and driving and racing and running of these vehicles is you can learn information from us that will save you thousands and thousands of dollars as you go on providing performance improvements for your engine, what's best to do, in what order, what are the gains you can expect. So our software, Hondata software, is world class, it's reliable, and it's exceedingly easy to use. And it's founded by and designed and built by Honda enthusiasts with passion. And we've had a lot of passion for Hondas for quite some time. So as you can see, one of the core guiding principles of our company is education, and that's embodied in everything we do, in our software and in the information that we're presenting to you, the enthusiast tuner who carries the mantle for Honda into the future with their wonderful new Civic TypeR, which is, we're so glad that Honda's back in the game. So what we'll be covering today is we'll be going over some customer feedback that we've had in the last month and share it with you. Just some of the basics for the Flashpro for those of you who may be tuning in for the first time. Covering our best tune to date. We've learned a lot in the last month and we'll be sharing that with you. I've got some questions which have been forwarded to me by those of you on social media who wanted to know a little bit more about the product and our company. But some other options. We've got a new method of cloning an engine computer for you, meaning less downtime, some overseas markets, and we're going to do some turbo tech, specifically turbo for the new Honda engines, and we'll be showing you some hands-on with some of the hardware, some of the products towards the end of our seminar. So I'm going to read this feedback out to you because it's wonderful. This embodies the feeling that we're getting a lot from our customers who install our Flashpro, install our tunes. And I know you can probably read this and you can see it on our website, but I thought I'd share this one with you. And this is this. The tune you have is amazing, simply and purely amazing. For starters, the car feels like a whole new machine. It's as if we added a larger turbo. The responsiveness is way better, even more so, the improved throttle response tune. I spent over 7 hours and 15 reflashes on the dyno trying to beat our tune numbers, and we only did so by a very close margin. That's what makes this tune so incredible. It really shows you how much research, development, and effort you put into these maps. And the map that this customer is referring to is our 93 Octane Tune. And the customer, who shall remain nameless, is an engineer at Honda. So this is what some people on the inside think of what we've done with one of their vehicles, one of their own personal vehicles. They're really happy. And if anyone's qualified to comment on how Honda drives, it's someone who built it, had a hand in building it. So here's a couple of other comments that we weren't kind of expecting, but we're very, very pleased to get them. Your new map is absolutely great. The throttle is so smooth now. Another comment, the power band is much smoother. And another one, you don't realize how smooth the power is until you look at your speedometer. What felt like 60 mile per hour is now 80 mile per hour. And this is a reflection on the time and effort we've put into this tune to make sure that the air-fuel ratios are smooth all the way through, the power's not varying, it's not jumping around a little bit, and the ignition timing is smooth. And so we've done a really nice job of tuning this for the Civic TypeR for the US 91 and 93 octane fuels, and those calibrations are built into our software. So buy the Flashpro, install them, and enjoy. So I'd like to cover some of the comments that we've had and requests that we've had. So one of the requests is, can I have two-step anti-lag? Can I have full throttle shift? And those are features and functions that are not in the stock software, but they are definitely on our to-do list. We've got a little bit more development to do, a few other things to cover, and we'll touch base on those throughout this seminar. And also someone asking about Flexsteel sensors and E85. Now, I know we touched on E85 a little bit in the previous seminar, but the fuel system of this vehicle is limited. You cannot run a full 85% ethanol. The fuel system can't supply the volume of fuel. But we have done an E25 tune. So if you wish to pre-mix your fuel to 25% ethanol, we've got a tune for that, which makes the car go a little bit better. But what we've learned since doing the E85 tune is a way to get more power than an E85 tune in a somewhat easier fashion, and we'll touch on that in a little bit. We've been asked to do boost by gear. Well, that's easy because boost by gear or torque by gear is already in the engine computer. So I'll touch upon that at the end of the seminar and show you how you can alter the boost or alter the torque for each mode, comfort, sport, plus R mode, for each gear, for each RPM, for all the different throttle positions. It's really quite flexible. So, can we increase the rev limit is a question that we've been asked. Well, yes we can, but have we and will we? No, we're not intending to do it at this point in time because there are limitations. And it's not just on the valves and the valve springs in the engine. There are limitations to how fast you can spin the direct injection fuel pump. And for those reasons, we're keeping the rev limit stock on this vehicle. However, the turbo boost is dropping and the power and torque is dropping at that particular point in time. So what we found with the previous turbo Hondas is there really hasn't been a need to rev it past the red line. And as we found on the track, sometimes your fastest track times are achieved short shifting and not taking it to the rev limit, but to short shifting it and dropping it further down on the torque band, which obviously turbochargers are very good at developing a lot of low-end torque. Another question we had was, if the FK8 is capable of running better and faster without sacrificing reliability, then why didn't Honda do it? Well, look, we can't speak for Honda. All we can do is take the platform we've been given and work with it. But if I had to conjecture just a little bit, I would say a possibility is that Honda's tuning for a worst case scenario. A worst case scenario in which the customer mistakenly puts in 87 octane fuel or happens to go to a gas station in which there's really, really poor octane, so they want to make their tunings conservative to minimize engine damage. And that's definitely a possibility. So one last question, and if you've got any questions throughout this presentation, put them on the social media. We'll see if we can answer them before the end. What are the plans for the FK2? We definitely have plans for the FK2. It's on our to-do list. We still have to cover a few models for the FK8 and the information and what we learned from the FK8, because we can tune it, we've got two of them, we can transfer that tuning knowledge back into the FK2. So let's just touch base on the Flashpro again. So very simply, this is the Flashpro. OBD2 on one end and USB on the other. So it connects from a laptop through to the Flashpro through to your OBD2, which will then put a new program and can also data log back out of the engine computer as well. So the Flashpro contains enough memory for storing 4 hours worth of data logging, and it can actually store 2 calibrations. So if by chance you don't have a laptop inside your home, you can plug the Flashpro into your laptop, download a calibration into what's called slot 1, which is connected to the program button. But we also have a slot 2. If you hold down the data log button and press the program button, you can put the secondary calibration in. So, for example, if you are tracking your car and you want the maximum power, the track's got 100 octane fuel, you can have your 100 octane map stored on here as your second calibration, and your primary calibration is your 91 or your 93 octane map. So you don't need a laptop to switch the calibrations in your vehicle. You can just pre-store 2 of them in your Flashpro right then and right there. So this is an incredibly well-built, robust and reliable product. It's got Bluetooth built into it, so it can connect to your head unit, it can connect to Android tablets, it can connect to iOS devices, tablets, phones, things like that as well. So its connectivity is amazing, and you can do that simultaneous to connect them to your laptop. So you can have 2 or 3 data streams coming out of this at the same time. So, on to the next exciting aspect of being able to, what's the easiest way to get the Flashpro onto and into my Civic TypeR ECU. And what we've heard from you, we've listened to you. You've said, look, I love my Civic TypeR. I do not want the downtime, but I'm not prepared to drive from Montreal to Southern California just so that you can reflash my ECU and jailbreak it just on the spot. We've got the solution for you, and it's called remote cloning. So here's how it works. You purchase a Civic TypeR Flashpro, and this is only for the US at this particular point in time. You purchase a Flashpro for your Civic TypeR from any one of our many dealers around the world. You connect the Flashpro into your Civic TypeR, and when you register your Flashpro, you have an option to send the clone information. And at the same time, the registration information is sent to us. The Flashpro sends a copy of important information that is specific to your Civic TypeR engine computer. All right, then you will purchase the ECU clone from Hondata, and that's linked to the data that you sent to us with your Flashpro. And then Hondata jailbreaks that new ECU, which we have a stock of, transfers in your clone data, and then sends you the ECU. Simple. What do you do then? Simply unbolt your stock ECU, bolt in your cloned ECU, plug the Flashpro back into your OBD2, select your performance program, upload, and go. And your original ECU is just as I said. It is original. You can put it in a box. If you want to put your vehicle completely back to stock, you've got a completely stock ECU. So that's what customers have asked for, and that's what we've delivered. It makes it far easier to get the best performance out of your Civic without any downtime whatsoever. And we know how you love driving your Civic TypeR. So how have you guys been using your Civic TypeRs? Well, we've got autocrossing, and here's someone who's a very keen driver in Ohio who's doing autocrossing. I think he's also driven the Ohio racetrack, and I think he might be doing some other racing across the US at the moment. We have Team Honda Research West, who have, for the first time, they're preparing. They raced the Civic TypeR last year for the 25-hour, and for the first time, Saturday a week ago, they've raced with the Hondata Reflash in their Civic on the racetrack. And I've got a video which I'll show you right at the end, which has shows some racetrack footage and an interview with the driver. So, okay. So what the guys for Team Honda Research West did is they like their car nice and light. So what they did was they took out the head unit. But they were having some problems with their data display system. I'm not too sure which brand it was in terms of reading the data from OBD2 and displaying it on the dash. So I said, look, here's what you need to do, and here's what they're going to do. They're going to get a cheap Android tablet with Velcro tape. They're going to stick it on their dashboard, get a Bluetooth link to the Flashpro, and as they're driving, they're going to be able to see the temperatures, their pressures, but most important things, fuel levels, what's the coolant temperature, what's the air temperature, so that if anything's going wrong, they can pull into the pits and get it fixed. So, what's next? We have new markets, and I know that some of you have been waiting with bated breath. When can I get a Flashpro for my Australian Civic TypeR, my European Civic TypeR? Well, the answer for that is in about 7 days. We've been testing for Civics in Japan. One is currently testing with Spoon in Japan at the moment. We've been testing with a number of people around Europe, South America, and Australia. So with a software update and with an international purchase of Flashpro and a jailbreak, you'll be able to have enjoy the same performance that all your American cousins have been enjoying as well. So, all right. We have a question coming through. All right. So, Spoon Sport, who has been a Honda focused company for a number of years, we are partnering up with Spoon Sport Japan to provide not only reflashes and tuning for the Civic TypeR, but also for the FK8, which this is the first time in about 10 years that Japan has had a Civic. Amazing that Japan hasn't had a Honda Civic, but they haven't had a Honda Civic for 10 years, and now they will have 2 turbo Civics, an FK8 and an FK7. So there's going to be a lot of very happy Japanese Honda performance enthusiasts with some tuning and a lot of things that they can do. I gave you a list last time of the best bang for the buck tuning suggestions, and here's a short list of it. Still in the correct order. First bang for the buck is Flashpro. Second is high octane fuel in a tune, and the third is the Intercooler. So let's have a look at the high octane tune. So as in last time, I showed you what we were able to do with a high octane tune, and we had for stock is 317 horsepower, and we pulled the horse. That's about the stock level of the horsepower, and about 332 pound-feet of torque in our dyno. So just by comparison, we did a 91 octane tune, which added about 34 horsepower. Then we did a 93 octane tune, which added almost 50 horsepower, 47 horsepower, and pulled the torque up to just touching on 400 and a massive 400 pound-feet of torque. But, all right, you asked for it. Hey guys, Hondata, I race at the racetrack. They've got 100 octane there. What can I do? Okay, what will 100 octane do? So, we got a Civic. We filled it up with pump gas legal, 100 octane fuel, and we did a specific tune for it. And here we go. Look at this. We've got 72, almost 73 horsepower over stock, and 421 pound-feet of torque from the 100 octane tune. Absolutely amazing what Honda has given, what they've given us as far as the platform is concerned. So yes, what we said last time remains absolutely the truth. Flashpro is your first best bang for the buck. Secondly is a well-calibrated high octane tune. Okay? But just reinforcing, Hondata's Flashpro system isn't just about making power and torque. It's nice to have the most power and torque that you can, but the most important thing for us is that you learn what makes the power, what makes the torque, but what doesn't make the power and what doesn't make the torque. Now this 93 octane tune will be coming out on the next software release, but it's not in software just yet. So within a week's time, we'll have this 100 octane dyno chart up on the website, along with all of our other dyno charts. We've already got the 91 and the 93 and the E85 tune, and this 100 octane tune will join them, and that will be available as a download in the software. Okay. A little bit of turbo check here. So, here is the exhaust port on a Civic TypeR. And yeah, it's not like an early K series engine in which it has 4 exhaust ports. The turbocharger is bolted directly to the head. So there's what it looks like on the outside. If I do a close-up, you'll see there are basically 4 short runners into 2 into 1. So let's have a look at the turbo. That's what a Civic TypeR turbo looks like off a vehicle. And you've got the wastegate actuator here, the exhaust turbine, the compressor, and the pipe that goes to the intercooler, and the blow-off valve. It doesn't actually blow off, but it vents air back into the turbo system. This is the intake of the turbo. So we've got a 6-bladed impeller. And this is the exhaust. We have an 11-bladed exhaust turbine, which has reasonably angled blades to allow the exhaust gas to come through. In case you wanted to know what this is here, this is the wastegate that's controlled by the wastegate actuator, which will bleed off the boost so that the turbo doesn't overspeed and put too much boost into the engine. So let's put the lights on for the moment and deal a little bit with turbo tech and show you, give you some props here and stuff that we've been working with. So over here is not a Civic TypeR engine, but this is an engine head from a Honda Civic 1.5, and we can see that same design. We have an exhaust port here, and a single exhaust port and 4 exhaust runners into 1. And this is the turbo from the 1.5. Again, similar in design to the Civic TypeR. We have the wastegate actuator, the compressor, and the exhaust turbine, and it bolts on pretty easily. So I want you to see that from the picture of the turbo to the exhaust turbine, that there is very, very little exhaust volume, very little exhaust space there. Let's see if we can get this on here. Okay, so a lot of people still think, and I still see it in tunes, a lot of people think that more boost equals more power. You could not be further wrong than that, and here's why. The more you increase the boost, the more you're keeping the wastegate closed, you build up exhaust pressure between the exhaust valves and the turbine. What happens is the higher the boost, the exhaust gas cannot get out through the turbine and cannot get into the exhaust. So what ends up happening is the exhaust gas comes out of one cylinder, let's say cylinder 1, and then goes back into cylinder 2, or 3, or 4, and it's cross-contaminating the other cylinders with the waste exhaust gas from a cylinder that just completed its power cycle, its combustion cycle. So when that happens, the car knocks. You've got contaminated exhaust gas is contaminating a cylinder that hasn't yet burned, and the knock level goes up. It knocks. So, and in many cases, we've found, even tuning for people like Honda Canada, doing some of their race vehicles, we found that by reducing the boost and keeping the wastegate open just a little bit, which reduces the boost, it allows us to drop the cylinder pressures, reduce the contamination of exhaust gas, and most importantly, if it's not knocking, it allows you to add ignition timing. So with the Civic TypeR, 1 degree of ignition timing can be worth as much as 7 horsepower. So a little bit of timing goes a long way as far as horsepower is concerned. But having said that, we do not make our tunes aggressive. We do not tune them to the very last horsepower because we wish to emphasize reliability here. And yes, we could get another 8 to 10 horsepower, but we choose not to make sure the engines run smoother and more reliable. And besides, with the 100 octane tunes and things like that we've got 70 horsepower out of stock. That's a huge gain just with a Honda Flashpro, some tuning, and some high octane fuel. So, more burst does not equal more power. Remember that, and when you're talking to your tuners, please make sure they just don't crank up the burst. Keep an eye on the knock levels, see what it's doing. And try reducing the boost a little bit. You might find that you might make a little bit more power if you did that. Okay, a little bit more tech. Intercooler. All right, we've done a lot more testing on intercoolers since we released the Flashpro a bit over a month ago. And again, thank you again so much for the tremendous support and feedback that you've given us. So let's give you some information here. That's the stock Honda intercooler. It is very, very light. It's only a couple of pounds. So obviously Honda built it to keep the weight of their vehicle down. Now, an aftermarket intercooler will be thicker, and sometimes it can be taller, but the length is typically the same. Now we did some rough mathematical calculations, and we calculated that the internal volume of the intercooler, that is where the air passes through the passages, increases about 50% or so when you put an aftermarket intercooler on. So, stock intercooler, the volume inside here is about 3 litres, so an aftermarket intercooler is about 4.5 litres, about 50% more. Okay, well what does that mean? Well, in all the testing we've done, and I can show you the dyno charts or the temperature charts in a second, an aftermarket intercooler does a great job of keeping the temperatures down. But we have had some feedback from circuit track racers saying, okay, yes, the intercooler works, it gives us more power, it gives us lower temperatures, but their comment has been that the throttle response is not as good. They'll go into a corner, they'll lift off the accelerator, they'll go back on the accelerator again, and with the aftermarket intercooler, it can take maybe, and this is, we've seen on the data logs, a couple of tenths of a second for it to build up boost again. Why? You have a greater volume of intercooler. So when the turbo spools back up again, it's got to fill the intercooler first before that air gets into the engine. So that's one possible disadvantage of an intercooler, but you may see it, you may not. We haven't tested all different kinds of intercoolers. But that's something to consider when you're going racing, for example. So those few tenths of a second might be better with stock intercooler than with an aftermarket. I don't know. We'll have to try it. But you heard it here. You heard it from the guys who do the testing, who do the measurements, and do the calculations and give it to you. So here we go. Let's just double check here. Skipped a few slides here too much. All right. So how does this intercooler work? The aftermarket intercooler? Well, tremendously. We tested this intercooler on an aftermarket intercooler on the dyno, one with about 50% greater volume, and we saw an average temperature drop of 25 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's a tremendous drop in intake air temperature. And anything you can do to lower the intake air temperature means you can put more ignition timing in the engine. It means that it's less likely to knock. So less knock, more ignition timing, more power, more reliability. So yes, you want the maximum power, an intercooler is going to do it for you. Thoroughly recommend it. So let's touch base. A few of you, since we released the Flashpro, have gone to and taken your vehicles to the dyno. Well, here's some important information when you go to do dyno tuning that your dyno tuner won't know, because we just found it out. So after you reflash the engine computer, it takes the wideband oxidant sensor does not start reading the air-fuel ratio immediately. So it can take up to 2 minutes and 2.5 kilometers for the computer to start registering the wideband. So after you reflash your engine computer from your FK8, put it in 6th gear and drive it for about 2.5 kilometers at a nice speed, and you can get a lot of cooling in, just cool everything down. That will help you achieve consistent results, consistent data, because if you don't, the wideband's not going to be reading, you're not going to be able to get, the computer's not going to be able to read what the wideband is reading because it takes the length of time for it to reset. We've seen people post videos of their Civic TypeR being tuned, and we had to cringe, because we saw some people with not enough fans on their engines doing run after run, and we could hear the engine pinging. And this is not good. We could hear it pinging on the dyno. So if you're going to go to the dyno, make sure you've got lots of big fans and allow lots of time for the engine to cool down between your dyno runs. Keeping these engines cool is very, very important. And for those of you who want to do and to track your vehicle, if you don't already know about it, there are some aftermarket grills you can get for your Civic TypeR, which will allow more air in the front, because comment has been made by more than one person that these cars are prone to overheating. All right? Here's another tip. If you put an intake new grill on, or even if you don't, get some bits of cardboard, get some bits of plastic, and baffle the radiator. If you can see a gap under the radiator, above or beside it, if the air can go anywhere except through the radiator, if it can, it will. So make sure all the air that comes through the front of your radiator grill goes through and only through the intercooler and the radiator, because it will go around the side, underneath, over the top. It'll go anywhere except through your intercoolers and radiators if it can. So baffle your radiator. When I first went racing, I used a similar technique, but I was a little bit lower budget. I used cut up, don't tell anyone, I used cut up FedEx boxes, but I cut up FedEx boxes, and I used them to build baffles for my race car. So, what have we got for software updates? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch over to my laptop now and to show you some software updates that we've done for the Civic TypeR. Okay. All right. Let's expand this up. So, one of the nice things that we put in, again, if you're tracking your vehicle, is we put in G-force, so that as you track your vehicle, you can look at your G-force gauge, and you can see exactly how many G you're pulling. This pulls the data from the Honda's own G-force sensors. And let's go to my graph here. Whoops, close it up by mistake. Let's open that up again. All right, so there's our G-force graph, and the projection system here has resized this and made this somewhat smaller than I would have liked. So it's a little difficult to read what we've got on screen here at the moment. Okay, suffice to say, as you drive around the track, it'll show you your longitudinal and your left, right, and your forward, backwards G. So we've seen this on a Civic TypeR on the track. This particular one pulled easily 1 and up to about 1.2 G while on the track. One of the questions we had before was, well, what about boost tuning? Can you tune the different modes? This is the Comfort, Sport, and the Plus R mode. And the answer is yes. From the calibration menu, let's open up the calibration there and have a look at boost control, tables. So we have torque tables. So this is where the computer starts. Let's have a look at this torque table. So this is torque table, comfort mode, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. You can custom tune each gear in each mode. Let's have a look at torque in first gear. So, along the top axis we have throttle position sensor. So 80% throttle, you're telling the computer you want at 2000 RPM, 268 Newton meters of torque. So, computer takes that requested torque value, which is retrieved from this table, knowing that it's the comfort mode and you're 80% throttle, and it turns that torque into, it runs through its internal calculation. It says to get this amount of torque, I need this amount of boost, this amount of ignition timing, this amount of intake cam angle, this amount of exhaust cam angle. So the torque is mathematically modeled inside the computer, and the requested torque is turned into a series of controls and commands, which will give the ECU the ability to set the cam angles and boost levels to what you want. So in a crude sort of way, you're tuning the boost levels by tuning the torque tables here. And in the 2D mode, you can see the maximum torque that you've got along here. So if I go back to Sport mode 1 through 6 and Plus R mode also 1 through 6. So if you live in a very wet climate or you race on a circuit that rains occasionally, what you can do is you can set up your comfort mode as your wet mode so that you can pull out all the torque. You can pull out all the peak torque around 3,000, 3,500 RPM where there's maximum torque, and you can select those areas of the map and you can decrease those areas there, and you can take them out and say reduce those by minus 10% and minus 10. There we go, minus 10%, and you pull 10% of torque out in those areas there. All right, so those are the torque control maps. And as I've said before, whatever, when you're talking or working with your tuner on the donut, do not be tempted to just willy-nilly throw more ignition timing or throw more boost at it. In the calibration, we have boost control, and this is your air charge limit. So this is effectively the air charge or the boost level that the computer is trying to achieve at all these different RPMs. And you can see that the computer tries to achieve a lot of air charge, a lot of boost down low, and then it tapers it off at the top end of the rev range. That's because this turbocharger is somewhat inefficient at high RPM. It's designed so that you've at least got some mid-range torque in this. Otherwise, all you have is a vehicle that makes all the power at the top end of the rev range and is going to be completely undrivable at the bottom end of the rev range. And Honda has done a really good job giving you a really broad torque curve with a lot of power, and after the addition of the Flashpro, a lot more power to have an almost 400 horsepower Civic TypeR. And yeah, this is a thoroughbred engine. This is really, really well built. So what I'm going to do now is, just to wind up, I'm going to restart my laptop, and I've got a video just finished about 90 minutes ago, so I hadn't had time to load it onto my computer, and it's got a little interview with Calvin Tan, driver for the Team Honda Research West Civic TypeR at Buttonwillow just recently. So let me just do a restart here. Okay. So bear with me while I restart. I'll just set up a Bluetooth link to my speakers here so that you can hear this. right, let's go get this button below video and let's have a look at the first video that we have of a Civic TypeR racing at Button Below Racetrack. And keep an eye on this vehicle. This vehicle is going to be campaigning the 25-hour at the end of this year. So we'd like to see you get out there and support it as much as possible. Give me a second while I set up a Bluetooth link here to my speakers so that we've got some audio for this. Alright. Okay. All right, let's play this video and let's see what Calvin Tam has to say for himself. I'm here with Calvin Tam from Honda Finance, who's a racing enthusiast and member of the Team Honda Research West team who've been racing for many years.
Testing with at a track day, and as many people have already talked about, the TypeR is just an amazing package out of the box. Today we're testing the new Honda Flash that Doug provided us, and my first reactions were the car feels just as smooth as when it did when it was stock, but definitely a lot of these quarters now we're noticing higher speeds, and we're passing the cars on the track, definitely seeing it's much easier to pass, and now that we've disabled the VSA on the vehicle, the car is just like a rocket ship out of the exit recorders.
So that was a lot of fun watching the guys at Team Honda Research West. Whenever I was observing them on the track, they always seem to be closing on the vehicle in front. So just as a wind up here, I'd like to say, look, I apologize for any of the low quality. We need to improve our audio equipment, and if there's enough interest, let us know. We'll do some more tuning specific training. I just wanted to give everyone an overview. This won't be the last. We're definitely planning on more informational material, and as we said the previous seminar, this is just the start. Well, this seminar is just the next step, and there is more to come. We're really excited. We have all the information about our tunes. You can download our software. You can have a look at how our software works. We've got the calibration data. We've got the tuning data. It's all on our website, and also you can go to Hondata.com, download Flashpro Manager, and check it out for yourself. See what we do, see how it works. We've put it out there. We've made it available for you all. Particularly, we know that there's a lot of you in Europe who are absolutely keen as mustard to get some custom tuning on your vehicle and make custom calibrations for your vehicles. So we've given you the capability, we've given you the software. Let us know what you want. we're all ears, we're listening, and we want to make you put a big smile on your face because you're enjoying your Honda again. Thank you very much.